Hi everybody, it's Elle, and I've been sitting here rewatching The Deep End. I called it Deep Dive, but it's actually The Deep End. That's the name of the documentary about Teal Swan on Hulu. And I decided that there were an awful lot of similarities between her and Katie, the former narcissist in my life. Her name wasn't actually Katie, but that's what I'm calling her because I never use my abusers' names if I can possibly help it, unless I'm like irritated and at the last end of my wits and don't care, which I generally don't really let myself get to too often these days. So anyway, we're gonna call her Katie, and I'm gonna talk to you about the things on the documentary that I watched, and also how it compares to the abuse that I went through from Katie. So maybe some of you will relate to this. And actually, my whole channel, the Delusion Dispeller original channel, was based on the abuses that I went through from Katie. So, kind of getting back to that. Everything in life seems to cycle back around. It's like history repeating itself type of thing. Well, for me, it's been no different with YouTube. Once I run out of other things to talk about, I'm like, I'm just going to go back to what I know, which is personality disorders, psychology, the abuses I went through with Katie and Stacy and other people in my life. So I am going to do exactly what I said. I'm making a comparison here. So this is kind of a commentary, but it's a commentary on the documentary and my life as compared, because like I said, there's many similarities, and you'll see as I go what I mean by that. So, and I'm kind of going in order, but not really, because I'm not really sure which page I wrote when, but I just kept writing and writing like, oh my gosh, yes, I went through that. Yes, that happened. Okay, now, first of all, Teal Swan, if you don't know who she is a new age guru, if you will, on YouTube. And I believe other places as well. Now she's like got tens of millions of followers at this point. Hey, Alexandria, welcome. Hi. And some people think she's great, and she gives them insight into their lives, and other people are like, okay, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Who is this woman? Who does she think she is? And what is this weird stuff she's teaching? Hey, Mommy Mars. My opinion of her is she's dangerous. She's toxic, and she's dangerous because she is not very self-aware of the damage she can do to people, and allegedly has done when a girl has actually taken her own life after Teal was teaching some things about suicide being a reset in life, that there's nothing wrong with suicide or death. It's, pardon me, actually a reset on your life. She has even told people that if they can't find a reason to live, then maybe it's better for them to just depart this life and go and be reincarnated as something else in the next life. So yeah, she's pretty toxic and dangerous. Hold on, pop-ups popping up here. Hey, Laura. I'm very well, thanks. So I'm going to just tell you the similarities of some of the things and some of the differences, because Katie wasn't exactly like Teal, but close enough that I wanted to make the comparison, because I want you guys to know that cults do exist and that they're real, and that there are people that really believe in the things that cults teach. I know I did. I don't know if I want to say I was snowed or deceived. I think I did a lot of things willingly, thinking I could help Katie change. I could help Katie feel valued and find some kind of self-esteem or whatever. But it actually ended up where I got sucked into a very bad, dark hole with Katie that really messed me up for quite a while. Thankfully, there were good therapists back then, and some good deliverance ministers and just church people that supported me through the mess I went through. So let's begin. Anyway, so one of the things that Teal does in her rituals is she uses water, like a swimming pool or a lake or something like that. Katie also did this in a different way. Teal did it actually in several different ways. In the beginning of the documentary, it shows her kind of holding on to a lady in the water, and the lady's crying, I guess she's angry at her mom or something. She's screaming. She does a lot of this inner healing type stuff and regression therapy, I guess is what you would call it. Kind of like taking people back through painful memories. Actually, she looks a lot like Katie, Mommy Mars. I'm going to send you a private picture of Katie, and you'll see what I mean. You can put them side by side. Very, very similar. In fact, Katie is prettier, way prettier. But looks can be deceiving. Jezebel was pretty too in the Bible. And so are a lot of very devious women. And that's my point. So yes, Teal used water in various ways. In the beginning, she was holding on to this lady and doing some inner healing things. And then she was holding her in the water, kind of cradling her, I guess, like a baby or something, telling her she loved her and whatever. I don't know. Yeah, Katie didn't do this kind of thing. She did something else, which when I get to the waterboarding later that Teal uses, I will tell you how Katie didn't do that, but used the pool in not a very good way. Okay, so the next thing is isolation. A lot of cults and a lot of dangerous groups will isolate you from people that are your safe resource. That's what people are saying, Spoof. I believe she is. Yes, I would definitely say she is. And the people whose daughter committed suicide say she is. And so do a lot of the people that sat under her teachings and now have left. And maybe some people that are still there are probably questioning whether she is or not. Like I said, she's not very self-aware. She's one of these people that if you don't agree with what she says, then you're the one with the problem type of thing. So isolation is used. Teal definitely throughout the documentary talks about how families won't understand, other people outside of the group won't understand, and therefore, you shouldn't stay hooked to them because they don't get it. Yeah, I know, Lee. Anyway, so the way Katie used isolation was she would tell me that she believed that she could get me to leave my husband, which at the time was Roland, and she knew I was having problems in my marriage. But she would every once in a while say, "Hey, girlie, I bet I could get you to leave Roland." And I was like, "No, you can't. I'm dedicated to my marriage." She's like, "Yeah, all I would have to say is one or two things and you would be out." She's like, you don't believe me? You doubt me?" I said, "No," because I just didn't want to go there with her because I knew how controlling she could be and how convincing she could be. She was a master manipulator with words, a master manipulator in general who could basically make you do anything she wanted you to do very easily. And I don't care how strong you think you are to stand up against people like this. They have a way about them. This is not their first rodeo, most of them. You're one of many, many victims to follow, I'm sure, if you tangle with narcissists and cult people. So anyway, she would tell me she could get me to leave my husband. She would tell me that my foster mom was not normal because my foster mom, I would tell her, she likes Disney. She has like Winnie the Pooh curtains and Winnie the Pooh bedspreads, and she just collects Winnie the Pooh stuff. She's like, "Girl, does that sound right to you for a grown woman to be doing that? Do you really want to keep getting advice from somebody like that? I'm not really sure where her walk is with God." That kind of thing. So anyway, so she would try to tell me my foster mom was not normal. And do I really want to listen to her and do what she says? Do I really want her teaching me about God and the Bible and stuff, and to advise me? And that, basically she had this in with God, sort of, so to speak. And you really felt like that around Katie. She was just very, she seemed to know the Bible really well. She knew how to apply the Bible really well. And she could tell you things that supposedly God told her for you, that it would be something you were going through currently, and you'd be like, wow, she really does know me. Now, I personally believe people can get power from different places. I believe they can get it from God. God can tell people things for you, yes. They can get it from the devil if they're practicing Satanism and witchcraft, or they can just get it out of their head and they know how to master manipulate people into saying what they want to hear. I don't know what her power came from. Sometimes I thought it was from God. Other times I thought it was just something she thought I wanted to hear. I don't know. I'm just telling you my experience. I don't try to interpret all of it anymore because it'll drive me nuts. Okay, Teal had a huge focus on money. She was all about making money. That's why she has millions of followers. Millions. She didn't start out that way. She started out as a very interesting little girl who had like clairvoyance and could read people's futures and saw things in the spirit realm that other people didn't see. And when they show her as a little girl on the documentary, look at her eyes. The eyes are truly the window to the soul. That verse, I think it's in Proverbs somewhere, or maybe it's just a proverb. I don't know. Eyes really will tell you something about a person. That's why a lot of people that are narcissistic and disturbed, psychopathic, sociopathic people will not show their face online, especially because they're afraid you're going to look into their eyes. They're afraid you're going to see through them. And people in real life also will hide their face a lot of times and not show their eyes. Because of this, people know that eyes will tell you a lot about a person. Anyway, we'll get to the eyes later, possibly. So she had this huge focus on money. Katie, the way she used money was she was married to a guy that made cupboards, cabinets for $1 million houses. And she basically would tell me how she had all the money she needed. Money was never a problem. And she could get me anything I wanted. And for the people that she believed she should take under her wing and that would be part of her ministry, she wanted to give them everything. She's like, if I love you and I care about you, there's nothing you'll ever want for. You will never want for another thing. And I have the wherewithal to help you travel. You're going to come on a mission trip with me and all this other stuff. She promised me the sun, moon, and stars. Anyway, and she was one, as far as the money goes, she pretty much could deliver. She paid my way twice out to see her. She paid for me to meet her at the airport, and we went to a cabin and met another lady there for some rituals that we did, some spiritual rituals, or that she did, I should say. I kind of got kicked out of it. The rebel that I am. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Anyway, she paid for me to go out to where she lived and stay in her trailer. She paid gas money, I think, to her parents to drive out halfway and get me. Carol and her boyfriend at the time drove me out halfway. And then her parents came and got me the rest of the way. But she paid for me to go shopping with her. She wanted me to pick out everything I wanted. And I picked out like these pantsuits. I wanted to be just like her. I definitely had this problem with wanting to mimic anybody I admired. Oh, I definitely had that. That's why I see that in other people, because I used to be that way. I would want to be like whoever I admired. So if she had on a pantsuit, I had to have the pantsuit. If she did her hair a certain way, I had to do my hair a certain way. That's just, it's sickening, and it's very much a codependent, disturbing thing that I was going through. I don't ever say that I didn't have problems in the past. I definitely did. I had definite addictions to people. I had definite disturbances where I thought I had to be just like somebody else. Oh, I did not see that one, Mommy Mars, but thank you for letting me know. I have heard about it. I did not watch it. Hey, Jeff, good afternoon. So anyway, when Katie gave me the money, I remember I went and bought a jogging suit, and I had talked to her on the phone like a week after, and she's like, so how's it going? I said, I'm so excited. I went and wore that jogging suit that you bought me, and everybody loved it. She goes, that old thing? I said, what do you mean? She goes, I wouldn't be buried in that thing. I said, then why'd you buy it for me? Why did you act like you liked it? She goes, oh, I knew that's just what you wanted to hear. I knew you liked it. I was like, okay. So she was weird like that. Anyway, Another way she would use the money is she would brag about how her daughter had a friend come over and she would take them shopping and literally hand them like hundreds of dollars and just say, here, go get whatever you want. And the girls would go and get whatever they wanted, literally. She always expected to get top of the line items. There was no generic anything with her. She had to have the top, the creme de la creme. I'm pretty sure Teal is the same way. If you look at what Teal wears, it's not cheap clothing. She's never wearing anything I would say looks shabby. She always has her hair hand dyed by somebody else. She's got money, and she flaunts that fact. Although she may not talk about it with all her followers, she definitely behind the scenes is sitting and talking to her promoter about how she can double her income, triple her income, be as big as Tony Robbins or Deepak Chopra, or who's the other dude? I can never remember his name. Anyway, just these big guru people, and there's always this competition to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. Katie wasn't really necessarily directly keeping up with anybody, but Katie had connections to like popular ministers and stuff. Okay. Teal used channeling, where she would close her eyes and claim that people were speaking through her, like dead people were speaking through her, or the spirits of even living people were speaking through her. People's parents that were allegedly abusive to them were speaking through her. And she would have other people be taught how to do this too, to where she would say, do you agree with me being the conscience of your mother or whatever? And the person would say, yes, I agree. She said, do you agree with me taking on the conscience of your little brother? Yes, I agree. And then they do these little things where the person would go back in their mind to a memory and the person would reenact being the parent, reenact being the son. Now, before I seem like I'm poo-pooing this idea, I'm not completely, because I believe in regressional therapy, but I think it needs to stay within a certain bounds. And ideas of, well, could this have happened to you, or I believe this happened to you, putting memories in there where there is no valid proof that anything happened, is what Teal is right now being blamed for, creating repressed memories that nothing really happened, but she makes this stuff up, allegedly. Anyway, so did Katie do this? I don't think Katie did that. I don't think she used like repressed memories. I don't even remember her going into a whole lot of past stuff. In fact, she was more about present and future than she ever was about the past, from my remembrance. And this was a long time ago. This was 2006, something like that. I don't know. I left my marriage in 2010. So it had to be like between 2006, 7, 8. I don't know, maybe even before that. We weren't together that long, Katie and I. So it couldn't have been like a lot of years or anything. It was just a few years. All right. Anyway, so what Katie would do was she would pray over us and like lay hands on us and then tell us what Father had to say for us, meaning God, YAHWEH, whatever. And she would tell us we needed to get clarity and direction for our destiny. She always used this keyword, destiny. Father has a perfect destiny for you. So there was always this feeling of we were trying to attain this understanding of where our lives were supposed to go next, the steps we were supposed to take, the direction we were traveling into this destiny. Like there was this invisible place out there we were trying to get to, and that was destiny. All right, next. Oh, okay. So here's one of the examples of the rituals that was done. When we were at the cabin, this other lady, we'll call her Jude, she came and how do I explain this? I don't know if you believe in demon possession, and I'm okay if you don't. At any rate, this lady came, her hair was hanging in her face, like literally over her eyes, long hair. And she seemed okay at first. But then after we kind of got settled into the cabin, she started kind of like hissing and as we call it, manifesting, like demonically. And she was just like flipping out and gnarling her hands like this. And I can't even explain it. It was unlike anything I had ever seen at that point. At least to that extent. It's not that I haven't seen people that I believe were demon possessed, because I have. But this lady took the cake. She was either a really awesome actress or she really was disturbed. And my vote is probably a little bit of both. Anyway, she came and Katie laid hands on her and started praying over her. And she just, I don't even know all of what happened. She ended up hugging her and holding her in the end. Kind of like Teal does with her followers, by the way. Anyhow, she did this thing where she sat us down. It was nighttime. It was dark in the room. And she's like, okay, ladies, you know the story of the alabaster box where the lady broke the perfume over Jesus's feet and washed his feet or dried his feet with her hair or whatever, wiped his feet with her hair. Yeah. She's like, well, I want you to envision, this was called an activation. That's what we call it in spiritual circles, an activation. Imagine what you would cast at Jesus' feet. If you could cast anything there, like something bothering you or whatever, you would just put it at his feet. So she would tell us to go and think about it and pray about it. We'd go off to our separate rooms. And Jude came back, and I came back, and we're sitting there, and she comes over. She walks over to Jude. What do you want to cast at Jesus' feet? And she's like, my relationship with my mother. And she just starts pouring out all of this awful stuff her mother's done to her and whatever. And I don't remember how Katie responded to that, if she said, well, Jesus forgives you. Or I honestly was like flipping out at this point going, what on earth did I get myself into? The feeling, people have energy, okay? And the energy around Katie was creepy, very creepy. And here I was in this cabin that she drove me out to. So I had no way home other than her. And I was just creeped out. So she comes over to me. She's like, Laura, what would you have to lay at the feet of Jesus? What do you want to pour out to him? I said, actually, Katie, I've already gone to him in prayer this morning and I'm good. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I don't have anything that I need to lay at his feet. I've already prayed to him and we're okay. We're good. We're cool. She's like, fine. Then this isn't for you. Go to your room. Now, mind you, I was an adult here, older than her. But back then, I was not a very secure adult in what I believed and what I thought, obviously, because I got up and I went to my room and I sat there thinking, oh my God, did that seriously just happen? Did another adult just tell me to go to my room like a flippin' child? Oh, yes, she did. And you'd have to meet her to understand the power that she has over people. Same as Teal. Same exact type of feeling. That when I watched that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Katie. That's her to a T. That's why I had to make this video. Because I want you guys to know there are some pretty powerful, scary people out there that have a lot of pull on people, especially vulnerable people. And I had been through a lot of abuse in my life before that, even from a friend before I met Katie. And that's how we hooked up. She took me under her wing to help me heal from the abuse and the damage in the other relationship with the other lady, blah, blah, blah. Okay, anyway, so that's what happened there. After that, I remember I wrote her a note. I've told this story before, but a lot of you are new here, so, and maybe some newcomers that watch this later have not heard this. And I couldn't make this stuff up, because honestly, this is just too good to be true, or too unreal to be true. Not good, but you know what I mean. We were in the cabin, and I had written her a note, basically feeling like she was giving Jude all the attention the whole time we were there, barely even talking to me, shunning me pretty much. And I was like, I thought we were all here to, you know, bond and connect and get ready for this big trip, this mission trip we're going to take on a plane and, you know, whatever. I thought we should all be in one together, you know, but you kind of shoved me into the room and just continued on with Jude without me and kind of segregated me from the whole thing. Thank you, Lee. And I don't think that's fair, you know. And she's like, well, I can't help it. I can't make Holy Spirit come when you want him to. You missed it. That's not on me. I can't conjure him up just because you want him here. I said, well, will he be back? She's like, I don't know. I don't know what the ghost has in mind, the Holy Ghost, you know? I'm like, okay. So I wrote her a note that basically put the scripture in there about how when Jesus, I guess, was going to pass by this one woman, I think she was caught in adultery or something. He called her a dog or something, and she said even the dogs eat the crumbs from the table, like on the floor. So I wrote that scripture down for Katie, and I basically said, is there anything left for me? Does the Holy Spirit have anything to tell me? Is there anything you can, seek Father on and tell me what he has to say for me? Because I know I missed the Holy Spirit, and I don't know if he'll come back or not, but I just feel like, I'm being shunned and rejected. And even the dogs get to eat the crumbs from the table. And it's just a little note. And I slipped it somewhere by her or something. And she read it. And I remember she didn't respond to it at all at first. And I was like, well, Katie, did you get my note? Yeah, I got it. Well, she's like, I already answered you about that. I can't bring Holy Spirit here just because you want him here. He was here and you missed it. So there was always this feeling of missing it, missing him, missing God, never attaining this relationship she had, this guru status, whatever. So I was like confused and depressed and didn't know what the heck to think. So I remember like the next day she says, hey girlie, come here. Now she would switch personalities like constantly. So I walked up to her. She's like, Father spoke to me and he's got something very special for you. I said, really? She goes, yeah. See that picnic table over there? If you go there, Holy Ghost is going to be there and he's going to meet you there in about 5 minutes. So hurry up, girlie. I ran down the hill to the picnic table. I'm like, okay, I'll play this game, whatever. I didn't honestly know what the heck she was talking about. I mean, I know who the Holy Spirit is, obviously. But what she was saying about him meeting me at the picnic table just seemed a little bit far-fetched to me. No, a lot far-fetched. I went down there, and I remember feeling this presence near the picnic table. I'm not saying it was the Holy Spirit. I am saying it was probably some kind of spirit, something she put down there or something. And I remember I walked back up the hill. She's like, well, was he there? What happened, girlie? Tell me all about it. So I remember telling her it was weird. It was like this presence kind of just like engulfed me. And it was just, I can't even explain it. And she's like, yeah, I told you, girl. And then we went on and did something else. I think we went canoeing or whatever. It wasn't all this spiritual stuff. It was other stuff too. And the canoeing trip was absolute nightmare. That was crazy. I won't get into that. They would take forever to tell that story. Maybe for another time. Anyway, so yeah, that was the ritual that happened that I rebelled against and got sent to my room. Okay, let's see. Okay, one thing about narcissists you may or may not know is a lot of them have this toothy kind of grin, like when they smile. I don't have enough teeth to show you. I don't. I have teeth pulled on both sides and on the bottom. But when they smile, their smile is very wide. And they have teeth in both the bottom and the top. They just have this certain kind of grin about them. I'm not saying everyone, but the majority of the ones that I knew were narcissistic had this trait, where they just had this super huge smile, and it's almost an eerie kind of smile. You probably see clowns, like killer clowns, with this kind of smile sometimes. So yeah, and Teal has that, and Katie had that. Like I said, Katie and Teal look a lot alike. There's not a whole lot of difference. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. Proof of loyalty. There's this thing where they will, in so many words, or maybe outright say, what can you do to prove to me that you are going to be loyal, that you're not going to betray me, you're not going to leave me, that you really believe what I'm saying, that kind of thing. Teal asked that of one of her followers. His name was Jared. And Jared said, I'll tell you what, I will follow you, and I'm so loyal to you that I would kill somebody for you. And he said, I said that, meaning that fully. Jared said that. So, I don't remember that Katie ever said that, but what Katie did do was she told me that and showed me that people that did not go along with what she thought and believed, she didn't treat them very well. And she would come back and say to me, "Girlie, aren't you glad you're on my side? Aren't you glad I'm on your team? Because you saw it could be really bad for you. I know what I'm capable of." She was scary. She was creepy scary. She still is, actually. I mean, I haven't talked to her in years, but when I talked to her a couple years ago on Yahoo, she was creepy scary still. Anyway, she definitely has issues of some kind, and I don't hang out with her because she makes me nervous. And she doesn't want me to hang out with her anyway. She's got a whole new life and new husband, stepkids. I mean, she's a happy camper. I just let her do her, and I do me over here. By the way, she did give me permission to share this story. Her feeling was, well, hey, that's what you've done for years, since 2008. That's your thing. Go ahead and do what you got to do. If you feel that I hurt you, which I did hurt you, go ahead and talk about it. If it's helping people, then go ahead. That's your destiny. That's what Father's plan is for you. Go ahead. So I do. All right. Anyway, one thing you need to realize is people that have these issues, psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, other types of personality disorders that are very, very predatory, you could say, they look for vulnerable people and they make them into their prey or their victims. When I met Katie, I had just had a relationship with a lady I called Dove. Hey, sweet wheat. And Dove ditched me because I saw through all her control mechanisms she was using with her family and her friends. And I saw how she would be part of our group. And as soon as she left, everybody was backbiting each other and slandering each other. And then she'd come back and everything would calm down. And then she'd leave again and it would happen again. And I started letting people know what I was seeing. And they were letting me know they saw the same thing. And we finally got together and confronted her. And I remember her husband called me up and said, "Why would you do this to Dove? She was your best friend. I wouldn't do this to my best friend." I'm like, look, dude, you guys go along with this little facade of making her your queen of the family. But what she's doing to people, trying to control your son's soccer team, trying to control her daughter, it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. So, actually, did she have a daughter? Not her daughter, her son. I'm sorry. The other one has a daughter. Katie had a daughter. Anyway, I said, this is not healthy, and I'm not calling her out on it. I asked people to actually pray for her. And instead of praying for her, they went back and told Dove, "Hey, this is what your friend said about you. Is this true?" So she caught me off cold. I was devastated. I remember blowing up her phone for hours and hours because I was very, very borderline, codependent, whatever you want to call it, cyclothymic, whatever, back then. I wouldn't even say it was cyclothymia that did it. It was probably the borderline abandonment issues I had. The rejection issues, the abandonment issues, which, by the way, I no longer have to that extent. Just in case any narcissists are watching that think, ooh, perfect prey. Let's get our hands on this one. She'll be afraid of us leaving her, and then we'll ditch her cold and destroy her life. Nah, won't happen. Anyways, because I won't let you that close to me to do that. So, anyway, so they prey on vulnerable people. And as I said, I confronted Dove, cut her off. I was devastated. Along comes Katie. Woohoo! Katie says to me, and we're getting to this next. Okay, let's start with Teal. Teal says to people, "What you don't know is we were meant to be together." Teal tells this to Jared while Teal is married to Mark. So she's hitting on this guy Jared while she's married to Mark, telling him spiritually they are meant to be one. They're meant to be together. Yeah, a little bit of nonsense going on there. So in the case of Katie, this is how that worked out. When she came to me, well, first of all, my other friend, who I'm still friends with, I will not name her, comes to me and says, I said to her, so how's Katie doing? I know you guys have been hanging out. Because we were all like friends and stuff in this mutual group, this little group online on Pale Talk. And she said, well, we're okay, but, there's not really any close friendship going on there. I said, really? I'm surprised. You guys seem like really tight, close friends. No, she goes, actually, it's you she wants. I said, what do you mean? She goes, she wants to take you under her wing. Katie wants to take you under her wing and help you through healing from all the heartache that Dove caused you and whatever. She kind of wants to be like your mentor, your spiritual mom, whatever. I said, really, Katie? Now, let me tell you something about Katie. Katie in this group barely said a word. She didn't say boo. We would have these groups and Bible studies, and she would barely say anything. She'd act all shy, like, oh, I really want to share the Bible because I might not get it right, that kind of thing. So we didn't really look at her as some kind of guru at that point. We just thought she was timid little Katie. Great to have you here with us. Let's encourage her to talk more. Why is it that narcissists and people with disorders always start out as these shy, quiet, timid people, or at least they appear to be? And then you befriend them and you try to help them get back on their feet, and then they utterly chew you up and spit you out and destroy you. Like you create a monster. It happens every time to me whenever I hooked up with these kind of people. Anyway, so Katie's real quiet and timid. And so my friend says to me, well, she wants to be your mentor. She wants to help you heal. She wants to pray you through this. Her dad has all these notes. He's a minister. And she wants to sit down and do a Bible study with you and walk you through your inner healing. And okay, whatever. I was in a miserable marriage, by the way, to Roland at the time. So I was looking for any kind of validation, comfort, acceptance, whatever. Guilty as charged. I was that person. So she's like, you need to go talk to Katie about it. She'll tell you everything. Okay. I was very timid, too, about even going and approaching Katie because I didn't really know her. So, now Katie and I would hang out like once in a while. We would do impersonations with each other like well into like 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd just sit on the computer and do like voice impersonations back and forth just for fun and laugh at each other. So I knew her like that, just like somebody to kick it, hang out with. So I go to Katie. I said, Katie, so-and-so, my friend, our mutual friend, says that you want to help me through my relationship with Dove and, the breakup of it. And you want to kind of mentor me and be my whatever spiritual mom. Or she's like, she told you that? I said, yeah. She goes, I'm waiting, like long pauses. There was always long pauses of silence with Katie. Hello, are you there? She's, I'm here, girlie. So she really told you that? Yes, she told me that. So is it true? Well, yeah, I did say that. And yeah, I do. I said, okay, well, what did you have in mind? She's like, well, I don't really know right now. But I know that I can help you. I've got like things from my dad. I got notes we can work on. We can do Bible studies together. I'll pray with you. I'll do words over you, like prophetic words. I'll see what God tells me for you. I don't know exactly what we said. This was a long time ago, y'all. Okay, so don't quote me on any of this. I'm just saying this is kind of along the lines of what I remember the conversation being. I was like, okay. She's like, you don't have to though, girl. I understand you were hurt and you don't trust people, but I'll be here. She said, I'll tell you what, I will wait as long as it takes till you finally realize I'm the one. I'm like, the one what? She goes, the one that was there for you all along. I said, what are you talking about? I barely know you other than, we do impersonations and whatever. She goes, no, girlie, think about it. I was the one in the group. I was the mother of everybody. I was the mother hen. I'm the one that kept all you girls together. I guess that's why I don't like that term when people say, how are you girls doing? I hate that because she used to say that, you girls. I wasn't a girl. I was a woman. But whatever. I'm the one that kept you girls together. I'm the one that stepped in when they had problems in this area or whatever. So I'm starting to remember a few times that maybe she said something to somebody. But as far as I knew, she didn't have like a tight relationship with any of us. She was quiet and timid and barely said boo. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm agreeing with her going, well, I better agree with her, at least I just sensed that I should. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. She goes, So see, I was there for you all along. And you went to this person and that person. And I just sat back and waited. And I'm going to do that again now, because you need to know that this is where Father has you, under my wing. Because I'm not going to do this unless you are fully 100% in agreement, because you don't get it. Laura, I have connections. And I'm not going to take you under my wing and not do the best for you. You're going to have everything. You're never going to want for another thing in your life if you hook up with us. Because it's not just me here on Pale Talk. It's me in ministry. We have a ministry. I'll tell you what the ministry is called in a little while. I don't think it exists anymore, which is kind of odd to me, because the husband was really into this ministry. Anyway, I'm going to do everything for you. You're never going to want for another thing. You need something for your home, I'm going to buy it for you. You need new clothes, we're going to go shopping, we're going to have a girly day, whatever. But you got to make sure that you want me to do this for you. Okay, so you go and pray about it and think about it and get back to me. I'll be waiting. I will wait as long as it takes. All right, so I go off, and I don't remember if I prayed, if I talked to somebody that was like an advisor. I might have talked to a therapist. I can't remember if I talked to anybody. Probably not. It's probably how I got stuck with her. Anyway, I know I at least asked God, and I felt like he said, gave me the go ahead. So I go back to her. Okay, Katie. She's like, well, what did you decide, girlie? I said, yeah, I'll do it. She goes, really? I said, yeah. She goes, okay. Well, the first thing we're going to do is you need to be taught some things from the Word. And then we had like Bible studies and stuff from there. This seemed, fairly innocuous. I think that's the word, where there's no harm done. And actually, when it was just her and I, she and I, however you say that, things were okay. It seemed like they were okay. It was when other people came into the situation that things went crazy wrong. Okay, anyhow. Hold on, because I'm trying to tie this all in, and it's not the easiest thing. I told you about the eyes are the windows to the soul. Okay, then there's the narcissistic glare, this thing where they like look at you like this. Yeah, Teal does that. Katie did that. She would actually joke with her husband. We'll call him Nick. Hey, Nick, I could get Laura to really squirm. He's like, no, you can't. She's like, yes, I can. All I got to do is say a couple things. And she said something, and it made me really uneasy. And I would just like kind of squirm in my chair. She'd be like, haha, see, I told you I could do it. And her laughs were just like that, like, hee hee, haha. It wasn't like a real laugh. It was like this put on vindictive evil kind of thing. Like she got a kick out of tormenting people. Teal does that too, by the way. If you watch this documentary, you will see. She has a look of satisfaction on her face when she hears people screaming in pain and sadness, and she gets a kick out of it. It's very disturbing. Some people have called her a sociopath, by the way. Actually, they've called Katie a sociopath too. What did she mean she had connections? We'll get to that. I will be talking about that later, about these connections she had. She did have some connections, but not all the ones I don't think that she thought she had. All right, anyhow. In the movie, or in the documentary, Teal tells Blake, which is her secondhand man. Okay, her story of Blake is she met him. He kind of took her from her abused state. She alleges that somebody did horrible things to her as a child for years and years and left her in this hole, tied down, and all this other stuff, which some people say there's no proof of, so they don't know if she was. Anyway, she meets Blake, however she met him. They get romantically involved, and then they break up, but she tells him he stays there, you stay here and basically help me propagate this whole group, whatever. So he does. So she had I think she said 12 or 18 different relationships after Blake. In other words, she was dating and doing things with guys while Blake was living in her house, which I guess, polygamy is a thing in some places. A lot of these people came from Mormon backgrounds, so it kind of went from one thing to the other. I think Mormonism is a cult, personally, or at least parts of it are. So don't shoot the messenger here, but there's a lot of cultic beliefs in Mormonism. And these people a lot of them came from Mormonism into this group of Teals. And I think Teal was also Mormon, but I'm not sure. I don't think she had. No, she didn't have any religion. I don't think she was raised in anything. All right. Anyhow, so Teal had this guy Blake, and he kind of was like her stage manager. Like she'd go out and he'd welcome her, not welcome her. He'd introduce her to all the people. You know, welcome Teal Swan, and she'd come out and talk. And so in one of the scenes, you'll see it when you watch the documentary. She's like, he says time is up. You know, she's got to go, and she's like, oh, no, I can't I do just one more? Like she's answering questions from the audience. And he's like, no, you know, you really got to go and you got to tell him, make it quick. She's like, and then he's like, and it's never quick with Teal. In other words, these questions become very elaborate. There's a lot of spiritual stuff that happens, etc. So Teal stomps her foot like a little kid and says, I want to, like a little girl. I want to. And Katie, I remember when I was at her house, she was upset over something, and she got upset over lots of things. She would be going from happy to just miserable. That's why borderline definitely going on there. Constant switch from sad to happy to paranoid to angry to vindictive, and just throughout a day. Not many days, not many weeks, but each day throughout the day. So I remember one time she was upset about something, and she says to her husband, I won't say his actual name, we'll call him Nicholas. Nicholas, will you buy me Krispy Kremes? I want Krispy Kremes. I was like, oh my God. I thought she was joking at first. She was dead serious. She was not playing. This lady was seriously switching personality and turning into this little girl, whining for donuts from her husband because she was upset about something. And anytime Katie was upset, Nicholas would go out and buy her something or take her shopping. I was like, what a spoiled whatever. I have a word for it, but I'm a nice person and try to be godly, so I don't talk like that. But believe me, I thought a lot of things, and still even telling the story, I think a lot about it. This is me being 100% real and raw with you here, okay? Because this documentary brought it all back up for me again. I just couldn't believe the similarities. It was uncanny. Okay, so another time he bought her camouflage jammies, and she called them jammies. Will you buy me jammies? Camouflage jammies? I'm like, are you serious right now? Or we'd be out shopping and she would just turn into this little girl begging for stuff. Ugh. Weird. I can't stand that kind of stuff because the Bible says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, I spoke as a child, and I did childish things, but now that I am old, I've put childish ways behind me. Now, she was a minister. She clearly did not follow that part of the Bible, not when it suited her to get what she wanted. All right, anyway. Teal, this is a totally different thing. So Teal said in one of the parts of the documentary, I never wanted to get into this. I never wanted to get into this field. I hate spirituality. So in other words, she's saying she doesn't really like what she has to do. Okay, well, Katie, the way she exhibited this was when she upset me by doing something. She was mean to me. She's always mean to me, on and off, throughout the few years we were together. She would say, girlie, do you forgive me? Please say you forgive me. I'd be like, I forgive you, Katie. No, I mean, you really need to mean it. Please don't make me go to Father, because Father will be mad at me. Father will be angry, and I can't handle that. I don't want to make Father upset. He's not good. I don't like it when he's not pleased. It won't be good for me. I'm like, what the flip? What are you talking about? She's talking about God. God would be mad at her and he would not be pleased. So she didn't want to have to go to him in prayer if I didn't forgive her, because it would not go well for her. Because Father was, he would get very mad at her. It would not be good for her. I was like, okay. I'm like, no, I forgive you, Katie. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, I always felt myself comforting her. Yet she was supposed to be my mentor, but I was there, all the time to her. It was ridiculous. Okay, Teal calls wounded people, like these people that she preys upon and tries to help, she calls them lost toys. That's her word for them, lost toys. Katie called people her peeps. She would say, my peeps. I don't think my peeps are understanding this. I don't think my peeps get it. Like objects. Okay, Teal would say, I tell people the truth. It's whether they have the capacity to handle it or not. What Katie would say is, I'm only saying what you're thinking. So, yeah, similar, very similar. Then she would say, I know you better than you know yourself. And the scary thing is, she did have some way, which sociopaths do, of getting into your head and almost knowing what you're thinking. And it almost did sometimes seem like she knew you better than you knew yourself. That was a creepy thing. That's why I can't be around her to this day, because she creeps me out. Name dropping. Teal, her promoter, I told you this earlier in this video. Her promoter told her how Deepak Chopra and Tony Robbins and this other guru guy had this many followers and viewers on their channel, and we have to do at least twice what we're doing now because they have this many and you only have this many, and you need to get twice as many as you have to be up there with them, type of thing. Katie, the way she exhibited this was she knew famous people. Like, she knew Joyce Meyer personally. Her mother used to have tea with Joyce Meyer. Now, Katie's parents are both pastors, which is another reason I won't mention her name, because you trace it to their ministry, her father's ministry. I don't know if he's alive, or I think her mother's passed. But you would trace it to them, and maybe, not that you would, but somebody watching this, the wrong person, would trace it to them and cause them trouble. I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I'm just telling my story. Okay, so her mother used to have tea with Joyce Meyer. She knew her personally, and I don't mean just once. Quite often she would have tea with her, because her mother was also a pastor, and they lived in the same area Joyce did. So, yeah, that was true. As far as I know, she knew other famous people. But there was one guy, I can't remember, Perry Stone, that was his name. He is like a kind of prophet / Jewish-ish type person. He knows like Hebrew scriptures and things like that. But he also is very prophetic, but he's prophetic in the sense of he can tell like what's going to happen in the world, that kind of prophet. And now I'm not going to say whether that's legit or not. You can decide that for yourself if you watch Perry Stone. I just know that she wanted to get her husband into his ministry to be his right-hand man, and she told me she was about to do this. But she needed my help to write the letter of request for her husband, Nicholas. So I did. I typed up a letter, blah, blah, blah. And her husband, Nicholas, was supposed to talk to Perry Stone. She was all convinced that Perry wanted to, take them under his wing and let them work with him in his ministry. And I remember asking her at one point, like several months later, how did it go with Perry Stone? She's like, it didn't. I said, what happened? She goes, he didn't accept Nicholas. Oh, okay. Well, I thought like you were good friends. Well, not as good as I thought, I guess. So it was like a lot of the times when I was with her, she would tell me these things were so, whatever it was. And then soon after I would find out, oh, that wasn't quite how it went. It wasn't ever quite how she meant it to be, or quite how we thought it was going to turn out. So yeah, a lot of things declined for her, even though she thought, she had this in with everybody. Okay, next. I got notes on this stuff, y'all. I took notes. This is 4 videos worth of notes of comparisons. Okay, so Teal got very upset at one of the guys, and you'll see this on the documentary, where the guy approaches her and says, I have a question. Like, who do you look up to? Who is your mentor? Who is guiding you? Teal became very angry, and she started using the F word and stuff like that. So, of course, I'm tuning my ears off during that part and trying to ignore it. But the documentary itself is very telling, and I think it's a series. So I'm pretty sure they'll be putting more of this out, but I don't know when or anything. Anyway, she says she has no mentor. She has nobody that is as enlightened as she is. And she's like, how dare you think, I'm less than because I don't have somebody that I worship or that I look up to. I don't need that. She basically is saying, I don't need anybody. I am highly enlightened, and nobody even comes close to her enlightenment. Now, Katie did not do this. Katie always pointed to Father God, Yahweh, as the supreme one. She never put herself up as all-knowing, like above God. She did portray herself as somebody that had knowledge everybody else should have and doesn't, but she did not say she was God, nor did she ever, make you feel like she thought she was. Never. But she did make you feel like you did not have a connection with God that she had. So it's a little bit different. She had this very deep connection and this one-on-one thing with Father that you don't have, whereas Teal believes she pretty much is God. So, yeah. Okay, anyway. Teal talks about how she received every diagnostic, what do you call it? Not prescription. Every diagnosis out there. Borderline, bipolar, I can't remember the other one she said. She didn't mention narcissistic, but I'd give her that one too. Anyways, if I was a therapist, just saying. I will say she's definitely got narcissistic traits, and I'm not the only one saying that. Anyhow, so she said, I received every diagnosis out there, and they didn't get me. They didn't understand me. Katie told me that she was diagnosed by therapists as many different things, many different disorders. Some said she was narcissistic. Some said she was borderline. Some said bipolar. So there you go. There's that similarity. Even her church, she came to me one time and said, I'm upset. I said, why? She said, my church says I have a narcissistic, or not a narcissist, a Jezebel spirit. Do you think I have a Jezebel spirit? Do you think I'm Jezebel? And at the time, I didn't know her yet. Oh, yeah, I bet, Mommy Mars. There's a lot of these kind of people around. Pray to God you never run into them. Anyway, she's like, do you think I'm Jezebel? And at the time, I was trying to form this relationship with her, this mentorship. So, of course, I'm not going to say anything, negative. Plus, I don't know her. No, Katie, I think they just misjudged you. You just know a lot about things. And I don't think I even really understood what Jezebel was fully at that point. So I wasn't sure what she was asking me. She kind of said like controlling and manipulative. And I'm like, no, I don't see that in you at all. I think you're a wonderful person. It's too bad they don't recognize that, Ugh, boy, did I learn differently. Anyway, so there were warning signs. There were red flags from the get-go with this chick, with Katie. There's definite warning signs even still with Teal. She honestly should be behind bars for some of the stuff she did, but we'll get into that later. All right. I told you about Teal meeting Blake, the guy that she was romantically involved with, and then that ended, and he stayed living with her. She said he accepted her unconditionally and, in essence, saved her. Now, Katie did the same thing with her husband, Nicholas. She said he loved her unconditionally. He was her rock. And at one point, we were talking about that ever dreaded subject that I didn't used to talk about, the physical intimacy subject. She told me the only time she would do that with her husband was when she was upset. He used sex to comfort her. That's literally the only time she would let him touch her in that way, was to comfort her. If she got upset or somebody did something that upset her or hurt her, she would go to Nicholas and he would comfort her in that way. There was no, I said, so you're not like one, and that's why you do it? There's not an intimate, loving, making out, like married people do? No, girlie, you don't understand. It's only when I get upset. That's it. That's the only time I will let him do that with me. I'm like, okay. Sorry I brought that up, Oh, her real name isn't Teal. Teal is her middle name. I forget what her real name is. Maria or something like that. She changed her name. And you'll find out later she has a habit of doing that. All right. Okay, so at one point in the documentary, Blake and her, obviously they're not an item anymore in the way they were. They're not romantically involved. He just lives there, and he's part of the inner circle. He meets a lady, I think probably on the internet, who's from Britain, I think. She has that English accent, and they're talking, and she wants to come. She's been watching Teal's videos, and that's probably how she met Blake. She decides she wants to come and see him in person and be part of the group. So she does. She meets him in person, and meanwhile, you see Teal on the sideline kind of talking to Blake and letting him know, we're the only ones that have ever been together. I'm feeling kind of threatened by this woman coming. What if it doesn't work out and you're hurt? That kind of thing. Just underhanded kind of divisiveness is what I would call it. So what she ends up saying is, anytime someone comes that has a truth that opposes mine, then it becomes her versus me. And then we have problems. Then there's problems. Or there's a problem, I think is how she said it. Okay. Because it's all about her. It's all about Teal, clearly. Okay. Katie did not really say that. Like, if you oppose me, she would say you were grieving the spirit, you were disappointing father, you were quenching the spirit. And so it was clearly, if we didn't believe what she was teaching and we didn't follow what she was teaching, then we were of a different vision. And two visions are a division. So therefore, can two walk together unless they be agreed? Now, I have said this to somebody when clearly we were not in one accord with our beliefs at all. However, it wasn't in this sense of, you're not following me, so we're divided. It's you're not following the Bible, so I'm dividing myself from you. Big difference, just in case anybody wants to go there. All right, name changes. In Teal's case, she changed people's names when they joined her group. I don't know if Blake's name was actually Blake. I'm not sure. But I do know there were people whose names got changed or their last names got changed. The reason why she would change a last name is, of course, to cut the person off from their surname, which is their family name. Teal was all about dividing families. She's all about telling you your family doesn't understand this. They're not going to relate. So you're better off just staying here. We're your family now. You need to stay away from them. They're negative energy. Yeah. Katie changed our names online. I used to be Pastor LB or Pastor Laura. She had me change my name to Vessel of Hope, and she was Vessel of Honor. You kind of see the kind of little me type thing, mini me thing going on there. Narcissists like to clone people. She tried to clone her daughter. Her daughter was a rebel like I am. Her daughter did her own thing. Didn't work with her. She tried to clone her foster daughter. Again, rebellious, did her own thing. Irritated Katie to the max. So then she met me. Decided I was going to be her little, what did she used to call me? Not little bit. What the heck was it? My little friend. L-I-L. My little friend. You're my little friend. Yeah. It was kind of like we were in this teeny bopper relationship. But if you saw Katie, she had that facet to herself where she would put her hair in a high ponytail and bebop down the road in her Jeep and be like, let's have a girly day. And then she'd put on this crazy music like a young person would and literally be bopping in the Jeep down the road like a flippin' teenager. Now here was me in my 30s going, okay, you're in your 30s too. You may only be like 31 and I'm like 37 or whatever I was. I don't know. And it just confused the heck out of me. I was like, what is with this woman? What a nut. But I went along with it. I was like, okay, it's kind of fun. I mean, it's like an escape fantasy thing. I don't know what she's going to do next. So it was always that element of spontaneity and surprise, So, and I was stuck there anyway. I didn't have a car. Remember, her parents drove me there. So I had no way out. So I may as well make the best of it, right? That's kind of how I felt, because I'm trapped. And if anything goes wrong, I'm really trapped because I can't get out of here. Yeah, it was dumb to even agree to do that. I get it. But this is my story. This is what I chose to do. I thought I could trust the person. Okay. All right. Anyway, another thing. Teal explains that she has people as her protectors. When her former boyfriend, Blake, left her, she says to her friends, I don't know what to do now. He's gone. I haven't been able to cry about this. And I got to prevent this from ever happening to me again. What are you guys going to do to protect me? Because I can't go through this again. So she literally thought it was people's jobs to protect people from getting close to her. She wanted them to have relationships outside of the group if they wanted to. But now her plan is not only, you can have a relationship and bring the relationship from outside in, as long as they want to be part of the group, they need to sign this non-negotiable contract of this is what they will and won't do. And you need to find out where this non-negotiable thing is that she wrote up, because as the lady that was doing this interview about them said on the documentary, she said it is really close to crossing the line into criminal, into illegal. So these things on this non-negotiable thing are actually could be considered illegal, the things she's requiring these people to do. All right, so now she asks her friends, or one of the people in the group said, what about children? Are we going to bring children into the group? She's like, I can't handle being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning when I have to do an interview the next day. So I would say, basically no. And then the other lady's like, well, we're all in agreement with that. So they all agree they are not having children. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, so what does that mean? If they get pregnant accidentally because they're having relationships, they're going to have abortions? Is this what's going on in this place? I don't know. They didn't get into that in this documentary. All right. Anyway, Katie, as far as people as her protector, Katie had her family who would overlook all the wrong she was doing, overlook her controlling ways, overlook her bossiness and her creepy ways. And she had her friends, or not her friends, actually, I'm sorry, us online. We weren't her friends. We were her sheep. She had her sheep that would cover her no matter what crazy bad stuff she did. And we were also there to entertain her. I've told that story before, so I won't get into that. But that was our job. I was her armor bearer. So it was my job to not only entertain her, make sure she was never bored, make sure she was always happy or at least content. When she went over across seas to Africa, it was my job to pray for her while she was there that no harm would come to her. And yes, God showed me visions during that time of somebody that was trying to kill her. And yes, it was actually verified that that actually was a thing. Like I said, I do believe that God can show you things. I don't think that's always the case. I don't think he's like a genie in a bottle that you just rub the bottle and whatever you want, he does. But yes, in prayer, he sometimes showed me things and I would go back and tell her. And she would verify that it was correct. And I would find other things that verified it. Like warnings to get out of the part of Africa she was in. She didn't listen to me. She came very close to not coming back. So, yeah, that happened. Anyway, so yeah, I was kind of seen as her protector somewhat, her armor bearer, the person that carried her shield, the person that held it up in front of her. Okay, so this whole thing about the division, this was another thing. Her way or the highway, this ministry, if you will, that she had. She and Nicholas had this ministry. It was called 12 Tribes, actually. And this was the ministry I was supposed to be a part of, besides just going to Africa with her on her next mission trip. And if I was, proven to be compatible with their ministry team, their family, then I was going to Africa with her on the next trip. But also, while I was there, I was asked to preach at her church, which I did. I actually preached on codependency. And people really liked it, which really made her angry because I think she was a little bit envious of the fact that her people liked what I had to say. And they were coming up to me afterwards and asking me questions, wanting my email address. And I was getting the glare from her and from Nicholas. Don't you dare. Don't give them any information. These people, we consider these people kind of lowlifes because these were poorer people that came just to use the food pantry a lot of times. And she would give me the glare, and I would just be like, yeah, I'll try. It was so uneasy, like just talking to this one lady and watching Katie stare at me and Nicholas stare at me, like, don't do anything that'll baden, make our name bad or whatever. It was hard to even talk to people with that kind of pressure looking over my shoulder. So I think the one lady, I got her email address, and I think I ended up losing it, but I had told her I would keep in touch with her. She's like, oh my gosh, you told my whole life story, and I know that you have answers for me. And, yeah, so Katie was not happy because she was their guru. She didn't want this chick from Podunk, Illinois, coming over there and getting a following of any kind. God forbid anybody take away her glory or whatever. And I wasn't even trying to do that. I just cared about people, and I wanted to help them. Okay. With Teal, there was actually a girl I told you allegedly committed suicide because of Teal saying something about reincarnation. She always painted the picture, or paints the picture, she's still around, that reincarnation or death is not a bad thing because life can get so bad that you just can't handle it anymore. Why not go to the next world and be enlightened and come back as something different? So apparently this girl decided that's what she was going to do. She ended her life. Katie, on the other hand, I don't think was ever responsible for people committing suicide. So there is that. She did have that going for her. Teal had her followers. Katie had the group of us online and some people at her church. Teal told people they should off themselves. Katie told me I was hopeless. At one point, she got me in an online room with my former friend, who she later hooked up with, the one she was comforting me from parting from. Hooked up in a room, and they did some kind of a prayer thing over me. And they both told me they didn't think there was help for me. I was too far gone. That's why when certain people online say stuff like that to me, water off a duck's back, it just, I know who I am now. You can't convince me that I'm damaged goods, that there's something so wrong with me, that I don't deserve to have a channel, that I don't deserve to be alive. You'll never convince me of that, because he gave me a purpose. You did not. So if you don't like me, what can I say? That's your opinion. It's not going to sway what I think of myself. I happen to like myself very much. I love myself. God created me, and he doesn't make junk. So, all right, anyway. So Katie and this other lady, my former friend, got together and told me basically they couldn't help me because the distance was too far. They lived too far away. They didn't know anybody in my area who could help me with my problems. And I told them, it feels like you just literally put me down on a table for surgery, opened me up, and left me there. That's literally how it felt. They said, we're sorry, we can't help you. We know you need help. You have some really bad things going on and deep spiritual things, and we just can't be there for you. We can't be the ones. I'm like, never? And Katie said, well, maybe in the future, but I can't tell you when. So there was this empty, again, this sense of something so far out there that I could not attain. And it was just a real bad feeling. Okay, so Teal again. Blake tells her at one point he's going to propose to Juliana, which was the lady that came from England. And you'll see on the documentary that Teal presses him for more information of what they actually talked about. What did she say? What did she say when you proposed to her? What did you say? What did she say when you were talking about, sealing the deal with the relationship? So she's like pressing him for information of something that's really none of her darn business. But she thinks because she once was his buddy, his lust buddy, that she has this in with him, and because she's his guru, she gets to know everything. It's like people on here that insert themselves into everybody's business that's really none of their business and act like they have some kind of say. Yeah, kind of like that. So, anyways, she presses him for more information. Katie would do the same thing with me. When I would talk to certain people that we were friends with or whatever, she would try to get out of me what we talked about. Like, oh, what did they say then? How did they handle that? How did they act? What did they say? How did they say it? And I'm an impersonator, so I could literally impersonate people pretty literally and pretty close to how they sound. So she would make me do the impersonations of, oh, do that again. Show me how they did that again, you know. So she would do that. So she'd get private information from, with others out of me, which I'm so much better about that now. I'm not a gossip as far as, like, if you tell me something in confidence that you're upset with somebody, I'm not going to go to that person. That's what I mean by gossip. I'm not saying I don't talk about other people. I certainly do, because there are plenty of people I talk about, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't, but not in the sense of gossiping to bring them harm. And not where you tell me something about someone and I go running back to them and say, oh, well, she said this about you. No, I don't do that petty kind of garbage anymore. Okay, at least I don't think I do. If I do, call me out on it, by all means. I'm not trying to be like that at all. All right. Teal on her documentary is telling people that they were abused by their parents or other people, and creating this allegedly falsehood about people's pasts and what happened to them, where there's no proof that their parents abused them or whatever. Katie would use prophecies, tell us what God told us about a certain person. Some of it was real and actually was accurate, but a lot of times I would sense that when she would give me these words, that they were what she wanted to say about me or what she wanted me to be like. And it wasn't always accurate, to be honest with you. In fact, the Bible says test the spirits. So if somebody gives you a word of prophecy, see if that's where you're at with your relationship with God. Don't just take it because this person said this. Oh, wow, that's going to happen. If it doesn't, as they say, bear witness in your spirit, then don't accept it. Not every prophecy is from God. Okay. The thing about Teal not wanting children brought into the group, Katie told me she never wanted to have kids, and she had 2 children. She said, I never wanted them. I never wanted to get pregnant. I didn't like being fat. I didn't like being inconvenienced. I had too much stuff I wanted to do. I couldn't do it when I was big and fat. I didn't want to be fat. I mean, she did not like the idea of children, and it showed in how she treated her kids while I was there, honestly. Okay, Teal basically said that anything that is not compatible with our life here in the group is not welcome. Like, your lives out there, you need to realize your life out there, your family, all the stuff you did out there is not compatible with our life in here. So you got to trade that stuff for what you have here. She actually did this one thing with a person on stage where the lady's telling her that she's so heartbroken she can't choose between living and dying, and she feels so cut off from everybody in her life. She needs affection from her family. Teal has this lady walk up beside her and touch her, I guess, in some way, or hug her or something. I can't remember. And she says, this is what you really need. This is your family here. So again, that isolation from family and friends thing. Katie isolated me from my family, saying they don't understand your destiny. They don't understand what we do, and they don't get it, so pull away from them, type of thing. Okay. One girl tells Teal that she can't do these get-togethers anymore, because she said it's like I'm learning and learning and learning and learning, and it's going nowhere. It's like a merry-go-round, going around and around and around, but it's never getting better in my life. And Teal's like, well, I think you're doing better. And she says, BS. And she literally says the words on the documentary. It's not any better. So Teal gets real quiet, and I don't know what happened after that. These are only clips of the whole thing. I mean, you'd have to literally go there and experience it, I imagine, to know everything that went on, Anyway, Katie never let me feel like I attained or arrived at whatever this relationship with father was that she had. So kind of the same weird thing going on there. Okay, there was this thing called water breath, which essentially was waterboarding people. At one point, she says, you need to do this thing called water breath. It's going to be not very comfortable. It's going to make the hair on your neck stand up, and you're going to struggle against it, but you need to do this. Hey, Spoof, that's okay. And what it was they took this girl, the one that was telling her she didn't know whether, she couldn't do it anymore, the merry-go-round thing, and they held her underwater and then pulled her up, and then held her underwater till she struggled and pulled her up. Till she was so exhausted and probably close to drowning. They had her on this, I guess, a stretcher or something. She's just laying there like this, just totally, probably drowned almost. That is illegal. I would think, seeing that on a documentary, you'd think the authorities would move in and arrest this woman and these people that did this to this other woman. But so far, no. Teal Swan is still alive and well on YouTube, Planet YouTube. So no, Katie did not use waterboarding at all. What she did do was get myself and this other lady at the cabin drunk by giving us a big bottle of wine to share and split between us while in the hot tub. She, on the other hand, did not drink a darn drop of it. Now, you figured that one out. I've only been drunk like 3 or 4 times in my entire life. And that time it was wine. So what it did was it made me super tired. I don't even think I was giddy or goofy or even acted drunk. I was just exhausted. They were watching Wizard of Oz and talking about how the people in the online group were each one of the characters. I don't even remember who was who on that. Katie did that a lot with characters in shows and stuff, where she would say, oh, I'm the Scarecrow and you're the Tin Man. And this time she got mad because somebody thought she was another character. And she'd be like, I'm Dorothy. And she'd get really mad and say she was Dorothy. She was the one that nobody understood going through Oz. And, it's just, I don't know. She had to be the victim all the time. She always painted herself as the victim, as the poor misunderstood one. But yet she also presented herself as this all-knowing guru. So it was kind of confusing to everybody, including me, especially me. All right, anyway, Teal had people get tattoos with this symbol, this triangle symbol on it, to show their allegiance to her. Katie bought us bracelets from Africa and purses from Africa, little tiny like pouch purses, and these beaded bracelets handmade by Africans. I do not still have mine, so don't even ask. I threw all the stuff about her away except the tapes that she's preaching on. I still have those. Anyway, so she bought us bracelets from Africa. And I remember being on the phone, and one lady had this kind of bracelet. I had a bracelet. We each had a little purse. I had a couple extra things because I was like her favorite. I was her little friend. So I got a little bit of extra goodies. But we all had these bracelets to kind of show our allegiance to this little group we had, and to show that we were special to her. Teal said she didn't say. Somebody said Teal had no balance. Oh, she did say that. She goes, there's no balance with me. There's nothing equal. Everything I do feeds into my main vision. The main thing that I do, which is helping people heal from their depression, their sadness, their loss, whatever it was. Katie basically did a little bit different. She would say everything that everybody did should honor Father and not grieve the Spirit, the Ghost, the Holy Ghost. Teal calls her inner core Tealers, like Teal healers, basically, or tribe. This is why it's interesting to me, because Katie and Nicholas's group, their ministry that they never had, they claimed they had, was called 12 Tribes. So it's this tribal thing, like exclusive. We are part of this and you are not. I try never to do that on here. I know a lot of times I seem like I'm kind of being exclusive, and I have this membership thing which is exclusive, but I don't want to ever come off like I'm trying to segregate people from people. Hang out with who you want. It doesn't matter to me. But if you want to serve God and you want to be close to him and you want to follow his precepts, then he does tell you to break it off with certain relationships. It's in Proverbs. I've actually taught on it. But it's not that I feel like there's this exclusive we four and no more. I want to bring people into my inner circle if they're safe people that are serving God. But not everybody is going to be like that. So, okay. Teal, she talks to the lady that's doing this interview on her. I think they hired this lady to do it or something, or asked her to. So this lady is being brutally honest with what she sees and basically telling her, yeah, I think you could be a cult leader. She doesn't out and out say it. She just says maybe. And Teal gets off of the line with her, and she turns to the guy that's her major promoter and says, this isn't cool. I'm not happy about this at all. How I am presented is a very big deal to me. And he's like, yeah, you should never have to go through that. She goes, fix it. Fix it now. I'm expecting you to, deal with this and make this not be the case where people are thinking I'm killing people and, causing them to kill themselves. Okay, so Katie was all about her image too, but she portrayed herself as not really seeking an image, and yet she was. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't even know how to explain it, but just trust me, that's the way it was. Teal tells Julian, the lady that came and married Blake, the one that Teal used to be with, that she feels like Julian has become an adversary to her, an enemy. And you could see on the documentary that Julian and Blake are clearly uncomfortable by Teal singling them out like this and saying that Julian has become an adversary to her. And she doesn't understand why. And Teal says, well, I know that you feel a certain way about me. Why don't you just, come clean and tell me how you feel? So Julian, saving face like I would do in the presence of this very scary person that you're trapped with, says, oh, you're very wise and intelligent and you have a real heart for the mission that you're on and the vision and whatever. And she basically calls BS on that and says she's lying, and she's giving her a very sweet reply, a very safe reply, but she really needs her to come clean and tell all. So she's like, you know what, never mind, that was too sweet of a reply. I'm going to go around the room and we're going to hear from the next person. So she asks all these people in the room, which, yes, Katie did to me, what do you think that Julian really thinks about me? So they're bringing all this stuff up. They're going to be loyal to the leader, right? Well, she thinks you're a narcissistic bee, that you don't care about people, that you're cold, you're calculating, you're conniving, you're manipulative, you're this, you're that, and they name all this stuff. Meanwhile, Teal has a notepad out where she's writing down all the stuff she is convinced Julian feels about her. So when the one guy gets done, the other lady says, well, you're this, you're thinking this or that, you're not true to our leader, whatever she said. I don't even know. I'm not quoting it. All right, so anyway, Teal takes out the notepad, holds it up. You think I'm this, and she like, you think I'm a narcissist, you think I'm this, you think I'm that. And she goes down the whole list of things. She's like, is that what you really think of me? So, of course, as you could imagine, the lady is like cornered, and she didn't really say anything. And she basically told her that, they weren't on the same wavelength at all, that she had become an adversary to her. And basically that they kind of needed to part ways without saying that. So her husband, Jared, decides he's going to leave the group. And he goes over, he's over near Teal, and he's kind of like bowed down. He doesn't know how to process everything that's about to happen, that he's leaving this place he's been at for 17, 18 years with this lady. And part of that time, her lover, her whatever, she says, if you want to flip the favor, like you have been doing, saying that I'm a narcissistic bee, then you're a effing loser, always will be. And then she says, this is all to Jared, never forget those words. Yeah. Katie told me that I'd never get help, I'd never please Father, or discover my destiny, that I never would get close to God, I would never have this relationship with him, basically like she had, because I did not measure up, in so many words. Okay, when Blake leaves and hugs Teal, she is stiff like a board, because he walks over to her, he hugs her, he says, I love you. She says nothing back. She closes her eyes, I guess trying to feel the embrace or whatever, but she's stiff as a board. And he's like, okay, well, I'll be downstairs a little while longer before I leave. I have to get some stuff or whatever. Okay, so Teal is reading the website after Jared I'm sorry, that was Jared, not Blake, my bad. No, it was Blake, sorry. I'm interchanging names, Jared and Blake, sorry, confused. So she's reading the website where after Blake posts that he is going to step down from his leadership with the Tealers. She is reading the website where he's posting his goodbye, basically, and thank you for everything. And she is glaring at it saying, look at that. It's all guys, it's all men wishing him well. If they really even knew what happened here, they would wish Juliana dead. That's what she said. Katie used to look at Yahoo and watch me on Yahoo, and she would write me every once in a while and watch my reaction. And because I was trying to still kind of be in her good graces, I would write these big, long responses, and she'd be sitting there with my former best friend, and my former best friend would be saying, Katie, what are you doing? Why do you keep going on Yahoo? You're not even with her anymore. Why do you care what she says? She's like, I'm just watching. I'm just observing. She's like, just watch what she does. And then she'd like use me as like a display case or something. I don't know. Watch how she reacts to this when I post this. And they would just like, she would just play with me, basically. Play with my head. Excuse me. Anyway, okay, so Teal said that she couldn't cry, that it feels like war, and then she tells her group that it's their job to protect her. I told you about that part. So anyway, basically that's where the whole thing leaves off, is that she feels like she should figure out, or wants to figure out, what she could have done differently to make Jared or make Blake love her more than he did and to stay with her. And it's just all twisted. I'm sorry, but when you're married, no woman should be trying to get her little, wiles in there on you. You got a wife. Butt out. He found somebody new. You weren't even with him. Get out of there. It's not your business to be thinking you got to try to make him love you when he's married to someone else. But welcome to culthood. Anyway, that is what I wanted to share with you about the comparison between Teal Swan and Katie. Sorry I put you to sleep, spoofer. I suppose it could be kind of boring. My voice can get kind of monotonous. Whatever. I am going to go and get some cayenne tea because my throat is raw. But for whatever that was worth for you guys, and I hope it was worth something for somebody eventually, that is the comparison between the cult of Teal Swan and the cult of Katie, which isn't really her name. Now, thankfully, maybe, Katie moved on to a whole other guy, a different family. She went from the cabinet maker to the race car driver, and seems pretty happy. She did actually work in a domestic violence treatment center at one point, which I thought, okay, she's on the right path. She's helping women who are abused in relationships instead of trying to ruin their relationships. So yeah, I guess she went on to better herself somewhat. I'm not in touch with her, so I don't really know, but so that is the comparison. Narcissists are very dangerous, y'all. Avoid them at all costs. If you can't avoid them, just work on your own self-care, because you need to maintain your knowledge of who you are and what you believe and what you want to do with your life, and not let somebody else tell you what that is. So, yeah, I just want to I just want to end this by saying this was in no way about anybody. This person, Katie, is nobody online in YouTube. Now, I don't know if Katie has a YouTube channel. I don't think she does. But this is not about any of y'all. So if anybody gets an idea, oh, she's talking about me, like later on, it's not you. Not you. Because if I had a fallout with you, chances are I have put you out of my mind for the most part. So I wouldn't be talking about you. I was talking about Katie. And Katie is not even from around here. She, like I said, she's not one of our YouTube people at all. She's a real person, but she's not from here. The only time I knew her social media wise was on Pale Talk. So that is that. Anyway, does anybody have any questions or comments you want to ask? I will be right back. I need to use the ladies' room. Talk amongst yourselves, and I will return in a moment. Okay, so I'm going to take you out to see my, see a few things actually. Oh, this is where the refrigerator used to be. See, there's a little cart there now. No refrigerator. Yay. I'm happy about that. I hate clutter in my house. I'm trying to keep it nice and neat. Okay. Let's look at the garden. Look at the garden. Look at the garden. Here's my lettuce, which I'm going to be picking some and eating some of that in a little while. Got some carrots. They're doing pretty good. I need to water that. It's getting kind of parched. Here's my cucumbers. I have no little flowers on there yet. Oh, I do see something interesting though. See this little tendril right here? They actually grow these to latch onto fences and climb up them. I did not know that, but that's what that little tendril thing is. Okay, so let's see what we can see out here. It's so nice out. It's so flippin' hot though. I don't like heat. Okay. I'm going to take you over to the shed, which used to be the house. Okay, so I've been out here cleaning a lot of stuff. I just want to show you. I still got to clean the whole shed. It's really messy, I know. The washer and dryer used to be here. They are not anymore. That's going to go next. That thing. There was a ski machine, or no, a treadmill here. That went yesterday with the guy that came to get it. This is, I don't know if this is going to go or if we're keeping it, and I'm not sure. This is just a extra mattress. This sofa here is going to go. All those cushions and that sofa probably going to go. I think I might keep that one, but this one's going to go. So yeah, that's what's in the plan next. Get some of this junk out of here. And get our bikes going too. We're trying to get tires fixed on our bikes so that we can ride. Not always have to take the vehicle. Anyway. All right. Tough crowd today. Nobody wants to talk, huh? Well, there's not that many people here anyway. Thank you, Mommy Mars, for talking and spoof a little bit talk. I like that too. Sweet, sweet. And anybody else that came in that I'm forgetting, thank you for chatting with me a little bit. I will go now, let somebody else have the cyberspace to do their thing. But I appreciate you listening. I am still doing the borderline personality disorder video, but I'm going to get the notes together for that first, which I did for this thing because I was so fascinated by this documentary. But hopefully you'll get to watch it. It's on Hulu. I don't know. Kitty, that's a really good question. I would like to know more about her past. I really would. Because clearly something has affected her being the way she is. That is a very good question you asked. And if you guys still have questions, I will hang around. I'll wait a moment, see if anybody else wants to ask anything or discuss anything. Get a drink. Or something. Okay. Oh, the smile? It's deviousness. That's what I would say it means. Just a devious smile. Maybe mockery, kind of. I'm not really sure, honestly. I don't know why narcissists have that glare or that smile. Just because they're not very nice people and they find a thrill in hurting people for whatever reason. I guess I could look that up and let you know. It's not something I ever really thought about, to be honest. Why do they have the evil grin they have on their face? Some people, I guess sociopaths just enjoy people's pain, you know. I really think she thinks she's helping people, but unfortunately she's got very unorthodox ways of doing it. I will look that up and I'll maybe say something on a video about that smile thing. I'm going to teach you guys how to make a quick recipe, only because I love this recipe. It's fast and yeah, I show you and people like my recipes. So I'm going to get this thing to stay so that I can show you the recipe. You can still ask me questions, that's fine. Okay, there. Okay, I'm going to get a bowl, first of all. Get a bowl of any size. Yogurt. And I think this works better with plain yogurt, but this one happens to be vanilla. It's what I have, so that's what I'm using. Just glop some yogurt in here, maybe like about a cupful. I'm just going to use this up because I don't feel like having it sit around, and we're going to do a little shopping today anyways. So I may as well just use it up. Scoop your yogurt into the container, the bowl. You can put cream cheese with this too, but you don't have to. You got some Jell-O. I'm using regular sugar-free Jell-O, not regular sugar-free Jell-O. I forgot I had sugar-free Jell-O. Yes, I do. This is pistachio, so I'm going to put a little bit of that in there, however much you like for taste. I'm going to open these up. These are peaches. Okay, these are in syrup, so I'm dumping that. I don't eat syrup. Try not to eat it anyway. Then take your fruit of your choice, whatever kind. Have that ready. Whipped cream, if you want it. I always put whipped cream in it because it makes it taste better. Whipped cream is not actually that good for you, but I'm going to eat it anyway because nothing's good for you. I'm trying to make changes as far as not eating a lot of GMO stuff too. But for now, it's what I have, so I'm going to eat it. And then put a flavoring in it if you think you need extra flavoring. I usually put a little drop of stevia in it. Oh, I'm going to read what you wrote in a minute, Spoof, as soon as I make this up. And then dump your fruit in it. However much you want to dump. You don't have to put it all in there, but I am. Get you some whipped cream. Couple dollops or whatever. And there you go. You got a dessert. Not hard to make. Quick. Yummy. Bam. There you go. Okay. Now. Yeah, well, mine didn't use it as a manipulation tactic, like to make me think she was happy with me. She would smile when she was not happy with me. So, what I'm saying. But yeah, I could see where they could use it to make you think they're happy with you. I'm not sure she really used the smile. It's just kind of a coincidence, I guess, or something, that most narcissists have a big toothy grin. They have this great big smile. So yeah, maybe it is a deception thing. That would make sense, like you said that. Yum, yum, yum. And there's not many carbs in this either, other than the peaches, because the pudding's sugar-free. Yeah, that would make sense, Spoof. I guess it's because it doesn't snow me anymore when somebody smiles at me that's a narcissist. I don't buy into it because I'm smarter than I used to be. And I can smell a rat a mile away. I know a narcissist like almost as quick as they open their mouth. So they can smile all they want. If they're smiling while they're acting narcissistic, then I'll know. And once I've determined that you're a toxic person, my guard will go up, kind of like on Star Trek. You know how the doors like will come up out of the floor? Yeah, that's how my guard goes up when I encounter someone with major personality disorders that could ruin my life. Yeah, then you know, Spoof, or your husband knows anyway. Anyway, those of you who have Hulu, or even if you can go watch Teal Swan's videos, go and decipher for yourself what's going on. Although watching her videos, you're just going to hear a lot of new agey stuff. You're not really going to know how she treats people behind the scenes unless you watch the documentary. And like I was watching this other thing, an interview with some people that knew Teal. In fact, one girl grew up with her actually, and she actually told the girl, "Oh, you're not slicing your wrist the right way. You're not doing it in the right spot. You got to do it here. Here, I'll show you." And she showed her how to cut her own wrist to kill herself when she was a child. So whatever happened to her might have happened pretty young. No, it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu. It's called The Deep End. Pretty crazy. Anyway, yeah, so her issues were there for a long time. It wasn't something that all of a sudden she started a cult and now has issues. She's had issues for a long time. That's why they took her to therapists in different places, and they all diagnosed her with different things. So she clearly has something going on. Hey, I'm going to put my wonderful dessert in here and feed it to my husband later. But for now, I have some. Oh, I just remembered what the name was of the other show that I watched, or the other series, not series. The other documentary that I watched was called Heaven's Gates. Something about Heaven's Gate. That was the cult. Because I watched that first, and then the Teal thing came up after that. But I didn't know that's what the Teal thing was about. I just saw the deep end, and I was looking for like cult shows because I like to study cults. And then I saw that it was Teal, and I'm like, I know who that is. I used to watch her stuff back when I was very interested in learning about this whole law of attraction thing that people talk about. That's who popped up when I Googled it. So, yeah, I was pretty shocked at how she was. I had no idea. I just thought she was new agey. I didn't think she was like abusive towards people. But yeah, she's told several people that they should go and kill themselves. I guess to reach a higher plane of existence or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, guys. Thank you, Kitty. I was just about to say that. You just helped me remember what I was about to say. On this other thing I was watching with the girl that grew up with her, who realized that she's very dangerous and they're anti-her, she said that, or maybe the guy said that. They're like, who would do that? Who would agree to let a video camera come in and film her in, raw and real, like she actually is all the time towards her members and stuff? Who would do that? Well, narcissists love attention. So it didn't really surprise me. And she was literally acting the way she acts every day, according to all of her followers. None of that was made up or, acted out like a drama or anything. It's just literally how she behaves. She's very into pleasing herself. And if you don't please her, then there's something wrong with you. That's just how she sees it. Anyway. So yeah, if you can, watch the documentary. Remember that there's people on here that act like that. And watch your back. Seriously, watch your back. So that you don't get hurt. All right. I had to text somebody. Okay, well, it has been an interesting time chatting with all of you. I suppose I should go and get some other stuff done today rather than being a lazy butt. So, you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to go gallivant elsewhere. Probably do some exercises in a little bit once my food digests. And I'll talk to you soon. I think the next thing I'll be uploading is the borderline videos that I do. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Be blessed. Shalom.